Blog Talk Radio.
Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics, and welcome to Taylor's Detroit Sports Show on Blog Talk Radio. I'm Taylor Phillips. Starting off with the Lions, they lose 30-20 to the Packers, who clinched the NFC North Division. Home field advantage and a first-round bye. Still haven't beaten them at Lambeau since 91, 12-15-91. Matthew Stafford finished 20 of 41 with 217 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, which is much better than the 2 interceptions in the end zone as we speak. Still in a losing cause. Aaron Rodgers was tougher than nails. Stafford threw 3 touchdowns, but was inconsistent enough to beat a losing quarterback. I wouldn't pin it all on Stafford. I would pin most of it on the offensive line. They almost never protected him. They're just off. The offensive line is just awful. Calvin Johnson completed 2 touchdown catches for Detroit, and so did Randall Cobb for Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers with the 1-yard quarterback sneaker for a TD. Craving Theo Riddick with a late touchdown, but no 2-point conversion. Joique Bell came this close to a 2-point conversion, but his butt landed down short of the goal line before the ball even broke the plane of the goal line, which it never did. And the referees actually did a heck of a job. Some actually liked the intentional grounding safety call, while others didn't. But I am not allowing the Joe Buck haters on my show, because
I want you here. What's your problem there, pal? Can't you get a bit of sleep? Don't bug me.
Yep, you heard right. If you're gonna troll on Joe Buck, then you're talking on the wrong podcast. So I'm not gonna get into that. Bless me. I'm not gonna get into that crap. Okay? If you want to talk football at the football game, let's do that. I will message this on my chat window right now. No Joe Buck haters allowed. Ever. So, the Lions are the 6th seed, which really hurts. They play the Cowboys in Dallas in the wild card divisional playoff round. Well, the Packers get the first round bye. I already mentioned that. That game starts at 4:40 on Fox. The game. Too many missed tackles, too many passes, a few passes were way off the mark. As I legitimately saw on TV, the referees did a very excellent job overall. The Lions' penalties continued to pile up, and the offensive line was soft as usual. I wouldn't pin that all on Joe Lombardi. He just tries his best to call the plays, and nobody can coach this paper-thin offensive line. It needs to be retooled. It needs to push and pull much more of its muscle against the opposing defensive front. That's on them themselves, period. End of story. The Red Wings have won 2 straight now, for those of you who are wondering about this next question. And the Pistons have also won 2 straight since they waived Josh Smith. The Red Wings routed the Sabres 6-3 by scoring 4 goals in the third period. The last 3 of them on the power play. They went on a 5-goal run, starting with one from Danny DeKeyser in the second period, after the Sabres scored a shorthanded goal to go up 3-1. Red Wings won that game 6-3, as I just mentioned. And then they won in overtime last night in Ottawa against the Senators. Gustav Nyquist held the puck, possessed the puck for 28.4 seconds alone before scoring the overtime winner with under a minute left in the extra frame. Zetterberg and Abdelkader scored the other Wings goals, while Eriksson scored on his own net, and then MacArthur scored the other Ottawa goal. Jonathan Eriksson has got to go, period. He is way worse than Brendan Smith and Jakob Kindl. If I were to trade one defenseman to a sucker team, I would trade Jonathan Eriksson to the Sabres for Tyler Myers, or trade Eriksson to the Arizona Coyotes for Keith Yandle. One of the two. They can only afford one. There is no other defenseman on this Red Wings team worse, not any close to worse, than to as bad as Jonathan Eriksson. He is a complete bust. A disaster. Worse than Brian Lashoff's absence. I would send Brian Lashoff down to GR and call up some other defenseman from the Griffins to join the Wings and give him some playing time and put either Keith Yandle or Tyler Myers on the roster. Sign either one of them to a contract. But Gustav Nyquist, the goose is looser than loose, man. I need to have a Gustav Nyquist jersey, period. He's just racking up all the statistics. Less penalty minutes, too. He should be an all-star in this year's NHL All-Star game. Where is that? In Carolina? Yeah, I think it's in Carolina. Let me check NHL.com real quick. No, it is in Columbus, actually. The Columbus Blue Jackets host the NHL All-Star Game in 2015. Saturday, January 24th is the All-Star Skills Competition, and then Sunday, January 25th is the 2015 Honda NHL All-Star Game. Red Wings take on the Bruins tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Then they host the New Jersey Devils on New Year's Eve at 7:30. Then they have the opening puck drop on 2015 on Saturday when they head to Vancouver to start a 3-game Western Canada road trip. Play the Canucks at 10 on Fox Sports Detroit, and CBC's Hockey Night in Canada should be a showdown. The Bruins are out of the Stanley Cup playoff picture right now, and so are the New Jersey Devils. The Devils recently fired their coach Peter DeBoer and hire an interim coach. Not sure if he'll do any good or not. Time will tell. Time and judgments will tell, or whatever. The last time the Wings and Canucks met, the Wings barely had to hold on to win 5-3 when they should have dominated the third period. They dominated the third period against Buffalo, like I mentioned before. Then they finished their 5-game road trip in Buffalo and in St. Louis Tuesday and Thursday, 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock on FSD. Then they return home Saturday, January 17th against the Nashville Predators. Start a 3-game homestand, 7 o'clock, FSD+. Pistons scorched the Indiana Pacers 119-109 at the Palace of Auburn Hills after waiving Josh Smith and trading Tony Mitchell to the Phoenix Suns for sharpshooter forward Anthony Tolliver, who was also not active for the game in Cleveland, which the Pistons routed the Cavaliers 103-80, hitting 17 3-point shots, a new franchise record. The Pistons are on fire. Not just 2-0. Since Josh Smith was gone, a big fat 2-0. They have scorched the Indiana Pacers, and then they played much better defense against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'd say they've defended LeBron James very well. They've also made the Cavaliers miss a lot of shots. They left some wide open 3 shots defensively, but most of them did not go in. Huge breaks there. Huge breaks all around there. The Central Michigan Chippewas trailed 42-14 and then at halftime, and then 49-14 in the third quarter against the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers in the Popeyes Bahamas Bowl on Christmas Eve. They came all the way back with a miracle touchdown, Hail Mary throw by Cooper Rush, and 3 laterals to Titus Davis, who turned the corner to the far pylon, right to left across your TV, and knocked down the pylon for a touchdown. But they went for 2. Dan Enos went for 2 and just went with the stupid fade option, and the pass was easily broken up with no time left on the clock, and the Hilltoppers won 49-48. comeback ruined by the Chippewas on their own creation. It was their own undoing. It was their own miracles undoing. Dan Enos was a bonehead. No offense. Is Jim Harbaugh coming to the Michigan Wolverines football team? Yes, he is. It is now a done deal, just not signed yet. Jim Harbaugh, sources say Harbaugh to the University of Michigan is a done deal, and now earlier tonight, sources have said that Harbaugh to U of M is a done deal yesterday, and now earlier tonight, Harbaugh and the San Francisco 49ers have mutually parted ways after his season finale. So not only will Harbaugh lead the Wolverines to a Big Ten championship and possibly a national championship as well, but he will also develop elite NFL players in the college level. First time since Bo Schembechler a long time ago. Think about that. Also, Michigan State Spartans football defensive coordinator Pat Narduzzi has become the head coach of the Pittsburgh Panthers. But he will still help coach the Spartans in the Cotton Bowl Classic game against the Baylor Bears on New Year's Day at 2:15 at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Therefore, Harlan Barnett and Mike Tressel promoted to co-defensive coordinators by head coach Mark D'Antonio. Not much college basketball in the mitten yet. Michigan snapped their 4-game losing streak with a 72-56 win over Coppin State. MSU, after suffering an overtime loss to Texas Southern, smashed Oakland 89-50 something. Also, the Tigers apparently don't need any more bullpen help than just Alex Wilson, but if they did get more bullpen help, that would be a bonus, and that would be much needed. But Tony Paul interviewed with Sean Baligian on Detroit Sports 105.1, filling in for Drew Lane, and said that Scherzer is likely to stay in. Max Scherzer is likely to stay in Detroit because for two reasons. Number one, there is no team in Major League Baseball whatsoever that can match Scherzer's demand of a $216 million 8-year offer, 8-year contract. And the other reason, the Tigers have the most money. The most money, the biggest payroll in the majors. And more people want Scherzer signed by Detroit. I found an article by Kyle Austin of MLive.com, Michigan State, headlining Michigan State hopes Cotton Bowl appearance helps boost Texas recruiting efforts. Look down the list of Michigan State's 2015 football commitments, and it's not hard to figure out what new recruiting ground the Spartans have been opening up in the past year. The list of 15 verbal commits includes 3 players from the state of Texas. 4-star cornerback Josh Butler of Mesquite, 3-star offensive lineman Tyler Higbee of Houston, and 3-star Darrell Stewart of Houston. Those 3 are all expected to sign with Michigan State in early February. When they do, they will break a streak of 8 years since the Spartans last signed with a high school. Since the Spartans last signed a high school player from the Lone Star State. Quarterback Nick Foles in 2007. Foles plays for the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL. Consider it fortunate timing then that the Spartans got surprised on bowl selection day with an invitation to the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. A plane load of Michigan State players and coaches are scheduled to touch down in the middle of Texas on Friday ahead of the January 1st matchup against Baylor, the Bears, looking to make an impression. Michigan State wide receivers coach Terrence Samuel said, quote, "I think it's going to be great for us, and hopefully we get some high school coaches hopefully we get some high school coaches seeing how we play and seeing how we do things, and hopefully that will make an impression." Unquote. Coaches can't publicly comment on unsigned recruits per NCAA rules, but Samuel did say the talent-rich area is starting to open up as a recruiting ground. Asked how that has opened up, Samuel points to the Spartan logo on his jacket. Michigan State has always been well known in its recruiting base in the Midwest. Winning a Big Ten championship, a Rose Bowl, and playing high-profile regular season games against Oregon and Ohio State has helped raise their profile outside of the region. Samuel also commented, quote, "It's great to go in there with this emblem with the Spartan head on there. That's great. They recognize, they see the past 2 years of us being really effective. 2 years of us being really effective with our program, so that helps. You don't go in there and they look like, oh, you're just a team from the Big Ten. You're one of the best teams from the Big Ten. That goes a long way," unquote. Bowl games fall during a recruiting dead period, meaning Michigan State coaches won't be able to have contact with prospects while in Texas. But Samuel said just being in the middle of that state is huge. The hope, he said, is that high school coaches from around the area can come to the game and get a better sense of Michigan State's program. You just want them to come to the game, Samuel said. Come to the game, see how we play, the excitement that our players play with. If they can see how well we play, generally those coaches see what's real and what's not real. They'll see that we're sincere coaches, sincere players, and we play hard. Unquote. And while Texas may be far from East Lansing, Michigan State has a little-known connection to the state of Texas. Spartans coach Mark D'Antonio was born in El Paso before his family moved to Ohio a year ago. D'Antonio said, quote, it's always nice to say you're from Texas," unquote. 4 key thoughts with the Michigan State football staff and crucial transition by Mike Griffith on MLive. Mark Antonio said Michigan State had a plan in place if Pat Narduzzi were to leave for a head coaching position, and at this point all appears to be on schedule. Narduzzi this, Narduzzi that. What's next for number 8 ranked Michigan State? A New Year's Day showdown with number 5 ranked Baylor, the number 1 scoring and yardage offense in the nation. It's essentially a home game for the Bears while playing in AT&T Stadium every season, and will have a decided advantage in fan numbers as their Waco campus is just 100 miles away. With the Spartans staff still in a transition of sorts, here are 4 things I think. Number 1, Salem super. Brad Salem lacks the coordinator title that 4 other assistants have, but he's certainly worthy. And his work as a quarterback's coach should not be underestimated. Salem's a future head coach himself, and one has to wonder if he might go to Pitt as Narduzzi's offensive coordinator. Salem has been key to Connor Cook's development, and he has a very close relationship with Tyler O'Connor and Damian Terry as well, bringing harmony and chemistry to a very competitive quarterback meeting room. If Salem were to leave, one wonders if that could change Cook's mind about returning for his senior season, and Cook is the key to a Big Ten title run in 2015. Energy hire. Narduzzi put the coal in the engine on defense with his passion for the game and ability to motivate players. Barnett is certainly respected, but his style is not as vocal as Narduzzi's. Tressel can bring and get fired up, and Ron Burton keeps his defensive linemen fired up as well as technically sound. But there'll need to be another positive voice on the practice fields to help mitigate the great loss of Narduzzi. I would expect the new defense system to be younger rather than older. Number 3, protect Blackwell. Curtis Blackwell is still relatively new to the staff, but his impact has been obvious to anyone who follows recruiting or has seen him interview on the Big Ten Network. The next Michigan head coach. The Spartans have attracted recruits to campus and increased Michigan State's visibility. And number 4, win the game. Michigan State's focus is being tested with the activity surrounding the coaching staff, despite D'Antonio's best efforts to maintain a routine. Their ability to handle the potential distractions will be largely determined by the seniors, who are desperate for a marquee win their final season. A victory over Baylor would establish this as the most successful 5-year era in the school's modern-day football history. What about the Rose Bowl win over Stanford last year, huh? There's a preview for you. That's going to do it for Taylor's Detroit Sports Show, Sunday, December 28, 2014. TTFN, ta-ta for now. I'll talk to you on Spreaker and then next week on Blog Talk Radio at 11.